Good afternoon and welcome to this QED event on the future of EU payments. My name is Liz Oakes, I'm from KPMG and I'm delighted to be the moderator for this event for this afternoon. We have two panels, one following the other but with a very short coffee break in the middle. And I also just wanted to observe that Mr. Ludvigsson has to run off to the trilogue this afternoon, so he's going to present and stay with us for a very brief period. If you have any particular questions for Ole, please direct them to him at the end of his actual presentation, because I'm sure you have some really exciting questions for him to answer. So welcome. Delighted to see so many people in the room. And I just wanted to make a few short opening remarks, and then we'll go straight into a series of presentations, which will be hopefully quite snappy, about approximately 7 to 10 minutes for each speaker, and then we'll have a panel session at the end of that. So this afternoon, looking at, what are we going to discuss when we talk about the future of EU payments? I really want to set the tone for this debate as being one of an increased focus on growth, employment in a very changing digital world. I think it's probably not particularly helpful at this stage to look back on particular technical content of either the interchange fee regulation or the PSD2, because I suspect that everyone in this room is incredibly familiar with the actual details of that. My observation in a digital service-based economy, it requires investment in systems and processes that reflect that reality. I think many of the payment systems and business practices and processes that we've inherited over the years have been really stemming from a paper-based economy, and we need to, I think, move the agenda forward. We've done quite a lot of work in that direction with SEPA and PSD, and I think we need to continue to move in that general direction. In creating a single market to enhance opportunities, to encourage innovation and competition, and generate a good outcome for each of us, both as consumers and users of payments, as well as many of us who sit in the provider part of the market. Payments are the mechanics of trade and commerce and need to function for all of us to continue to be able to do business. We need to enable clear communication and transfer of value. It's critical to the smooth functioning of the economy. I think also, whilst we have focused today's debate primarily on innovation, competition and security, convenience is one of the other factors. There is increasingly a focus on the amount of data that goes with a payment and what you can do with that data. And most of the data that's now required or desired in the system actually is peripheral data. So we have to try and accommodate those needs within the framework that we operate. There's a focus on increasing the speed of payments. Certainty comes as a basic user requirement, and security and convenience are topics that we're going to debate this afternoon. The financial stability and confidence in retail payments requires regulatory oversight and clearly understood business practices. And I think many of the comments that we're talking about today, we're focusing very much on the regulatory agenda, but actually a lot of the complexity for users is in the business practices and the harmonization of business practices across the EU. I can think of many examples, such as how taxation information is required within payments that actually makes our lives quite complex when you try to work within the EU. In an age of cyber attacks, fraud and scams, consumers want safety and security, and they want simplicity. And that's, again, one of the topics we're going to focus on this afternoon. And I think when we look at all of this, and we go back to competition and innovation, we've made it actually quite complex from a regulatory standpoint for new market entrants to figure out, how do I go into this market and how do I participate? And certainly from a KPMG standpoint, we see this increasingly, lots of what we would call challenger banks and new organizations coming in, and they come to us and say, but there's this whole swathe of different regulations, and some of them are explicitly to do with payments, but others are completely, to us, unknown quantities. We just don't know where to start with this. Have you got a manual on all the things that I need to do to be compliant and to be able to function in this market? And it's not that simple. And I shouldn't say this because obviously for us it's a very good business to be in, to try and figure out for people what they need to do, but it's incredibly complex. So today we're going to explore some insights from a range of market participants. I'm delighted to welcome such an experienced panel of individuals. Each are closely involved in the direction of change in payments. I encourage our panel to share their opinions on what we've achieved and what remains to be done to create a payments environment we're all proud to be part of and confident to use as consumers. Finally, I believe you all have an evaluation form on your chair. I would encourage you to complete that, perhaps as we go through the session, but certainly by the end of today's session, and submit those before you leave. I'm going to hand over now to Ole Ludvigsson, who's going to kick off the debate, and I believe he's only going to be able to stay with us for a very short time, so please direct some questions to Ole at the end of this session. Thank you.